Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Caffarella. What if you could guarantee that every single one of your listings would get an offer? At least one. We're going to talk about how you can guarantee each and every one of your listings, each and every one of your sellers, that they will get at least a minimum of one offer. I'm your host, Tom Caffarella. I am the host of the Agent Investor Podcast. We help real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster by teaching agents how to invest in real estate without any prior experience, without any capital. And we teach agents how to do this by doing a lot of the same stuff that they should be doing on a day-to-day basis anyways. I actually hosted an event yesterday. I went into all of the details, highlights of how agents can get more listings and how agents can get more fix and flip deals to partner with us on. For those of you who don't know yet about our partnership program, our partnership program works very simply. We put up all the money, we do the construction, and we split the profits of flip projects 50-50 with agents, just for agents finding us deals. All that you need to do is alert us to the fact that you've found a house that needs work. If we go out to it, we'll make an offer. And if we buy it, like I said, we'll put up all the money, we'll do all the construction, and we'll split the profits 50-50. We are also even willing to give agents a portion of their profits up front. If you want to learn more about our agent partnership flip program, go to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Again, that's www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. At the time of this recording, January 2026, all across the country, the market has slowed down. Not to a complete halt, not to a complete standstill, but the market is much slower than it's been in multiple years. There are listings that are sitting much longer than they ever have been. There are sellers taking their properties off the market more than ever. There are more expired listings in the past 90 days than probably in my entire real estate career going back to 2005. It is a very, very challenging market. Even for the fix and flips that we do, we kind of don't really ever know for sure right now how the market's going to respond to each property that we put on. Some of them are going, flying off the shelves, kind of like in years past, and some of them are sitting. And if you're an agent that is taking listings or you have listings, it can be really challenging to get those sold compared to years past. Again, we're not talking about a market crash. We're not talking about a complete and utter total buyer's market where nothing is selling. But compared to the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years, properties are sitting much longer. The market has definitely shifted, and it'll be really interesting to see exactly where things go in the spring market of 2026. With that being said, how can you guarantee that each and every one of your sellers, each and every one of your listings gets at least one offer? And how can that help you? How can that be a powerful thing in order for you as an agent to make more money and to serve your clients to get more of their properties sold? Well, I talked a little bit briefly about our agent partnership program, where we go out to homes, make offers, and if we buy them, we put up all the money, do the construction, and split the profits 50-50. What most agents don't know is that we will make an offer on any property. Any property. So regardless of whether you have put your seller's property on the market or whether it's about to go on the market, you can guarantee that if you reach out to us, that they will receive at least one offer. And let me explain to you what I think the benefits of this are, why I would recommend doing it on pretty much almost every single listing appointment that you have, and also how you can use it as a strategy and a tool to make sure that that listing gets sold. So, as part of being an agent investor, in my opinion, on every single seller appointment that you go on, every single listing appointment that you go on, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I believe that all agents should give sellers two options. You've got the traditional listing option, which we're all very, very, very familiar with, where you go out, you take great pictures, you maybe clean the house up, maybe you do some repairs, you promote the property, goal of getting as many possible people into that house as possible, with the ultimate objective of selling that property for the most amount of money. In almost all cases, the best way for sellers to max out the dollar amount that they're going to get from their house is a traditional listing, done the right way, promoted the right way. But I also believe that you should present your sellers with a cash offer. And again, we're willing to do that on any appointments and with any sellers that you have. And I believe that there are multiple benefits of doing this for you as an agent. For one, you're going to stand out as a solutions provider and somebody that doesn't just have one solution. Whether they choose to take a cash offer doesn't really matter to me in terms of providing value. You are giving them another option, another solution. You are giving them the price that they could get if they want to hit the easy button. So when I say the easy button, we make it as simple as possible when we buy properties directly from homeowners. When we buy a property directly from homeowners, they pick the closing date, whether they want to close in a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. A lot of sellers use that benefit to either get out of their property quickly or take their time finding their next place. That is often one of the most, I would say, almost surprising benefits that most agents don't really think too much of, is that when we buy somebody's property, they don't have to rush to find their next house. They don't have to worry and scramble for a double closing with a retail buyer and a retail seller. So they pick the closing date. There's no inspections, which means in this market, again, we've talked a little bit about the fact that the market has absolutely shifted. And especially in New England, where my market is, inspections are becoming tougher and tougher for a few different reasons. We went through an era during the COVID period where a lot of buyers were just saying, hey, I'll take the house as is, I'll waive the inspection, or I'll do an inspection for informational purposes only. And now buyers have a little bit more leverage. Buyers have a little bit more power. So buyers are saying, hey, let me do a full inspection on the property. So properties that were in kind of okay condition, not great condition, but okay condition, were selling without the seller having to fix anything, without the buyer going back to them asking for any credits. That has absolutely changed in the second half of 2025 and exchanged in the beginning half of 2026 so far. It is very common, even for our properties that we've renovated and flipped and made them very nice, for a buyer to come back and negotiate after the fact. So inspections are a thing again. And there's something that sellers, when they're selling their house, have to consider. When a seller sells directly to us, they don't have to get their house ready. They don't have to have strangers in their house. They don't have to leave their property for showings. They don't have to leave their house for an open house. They don't have to have a bunch of people there. They don't have to have all the neighbors in their property to see what their house looks like. It's very, very simple. When a seller sells to us, there's no mortgage contingency. So there's no out, right? When a buyer puts a property under contract, they have a mortgage contingency. If they lose their job, or if they just kind of don't feel like buying the house anymore, A lot of times the mortgage contingency is used to get out of that contract. So I say all of this not to say that most sellers should take our cash offer, but that it is a benefit for your seller and for yourself to be able to provide the cash offer as an option. Roughly 20% of all sellers will take our cash offer. Okay, the other 80% will hear the benefits of the cash offer and they'll opt to try to get the most amount of money by listing it on the MLS. Now, when that happens, when they choose to go on the MLS, here is another benefit of having that offer. They have the easy button price for whenever they want to sell. And this is happening more and more in the past 6 to 8 months, where a seller says, no thanks, I'm good. I don't want the cash offer. I want to try to get as much money as I can. And then their property hits the market. They're expecting multiple offers. They're expecting to have an open house and have an offer in hand 3, 4, 5 days later. And wouldn't you know, in a lot of cases, that's not happening now with the market being softer. And again, I say this not to say that this is happening in every area or will happen with every property. There are always going to be properties that get multiple offers that sell really quickly, but there is becoming more and more properties that are not selling so quickly, that are not getting automatic offers. When you have us come out and we give you a cash offer, we give your seller a cash offer, they know that if their property is sitting now for 2 weeks on the MLS and they want to turn around and they want to change their mind, we're there, right? So there's a backup offer essentially on their property that they can take whenever they want. The other thing that we're seeing in the past 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, since the market has kind of softened a little bit, are these sellers who are putting properties on the market where their house needs some work. In 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, they would put those properties on the market. Buyers would overlook a lot of things. They would overlook the items in inspection. They wouldn't come back to renegotiate. They may not even put an inspection contingency on the property. Now what we're seeing is not only are buyers coming back and saying, I want these things repaired, I want a reduction, but the other thing that we're seeing that's very common is buyers just backing out. Again, we've had that happen even on our flip properties that we've renovated. They come back, they get an inspection, there's a couple of things on it, and they just say, hey, we're out. And even with us having the ability to fix the items, we are seeing it more and more in late 2025, early 2026, where buyers are just deciding, you know what, I'm out, I'm done, I'm moving on. It's crazy to me because you put a property under contract, seller's willing to do the work, and then you're just out, but it's happening for whatever reason. I could give theories on why it's happening, but what we're seeing related to us purchasing properties and agents reaching out to us, it is becoming more and more common for an agent to reach out to us about their seller's property to say, hey, we had 2 inspections, both buyers backed out. My seller is willing at this point. They just want to be done. And again, talking about the topic here, how to get at least one offer on every single listing that you have our offer. You have it out of the gate. You have it whenever you need it. You can have it before you list the property, or you can get it after. But I prefer, if at all possible, to give it before, right? Before it hits the market, so that they always know what their backup price could be. Or for the 20% of people, they'll take it. Okay, so another area that is a tool for agents is in order to get price reductions on these listings. Now, my intention, and I'm sure your intention when you bring us out to a property and we make an offer and we guarantee that we'll make an offer on your property, is not to then use our offer to get a price reduction. But it can function that way in reality by default, meaning that if you had a listing, it's been sitting for a month, it's been sitting for 5 weeks, it's been sitting for 6 weeks, and you bring us in and we make an offer, and maybe it's an offer that your seller doesn't accept, they may realize at that point, and this has happened to us, that they realize at that point that they do need to make a reduction to their listing price, right? Because those are really the two options that all sellers have if they want to sell a property quickly, right? If they want to sell a property quickly, they could just go to us. We make them an offer. We close in, 7 days to whenever they need to close, however long they need to take. Or they could look at our offer and say, okay, you know what? I don't want to take Tom and his team's offer, but I am now willing to reduce. Because at the end of the day, what are you trying to achieve as the agent? If you're an agent that goes out on a seller appointment, your objective is either to list the property, or if you're willing to partner with us, work with us, when we'll come out, we'll make the offer, and we can partner with you if it turns into a flip. But your objective when you meet with any seller, I hope as an agent, is to help your seller and to make some money, right? Those are the two things that you want to do as a real estate professional. By having the two options, by having a backup offer, or by getting an offer from us after the property's been listed, these are all techniques and tools and strategies to help you help your seller and make more money, right? Because the worst thing that you can do, and this is, what is happening more and more and more, worst case scenario for you as the agent is you go out, you meet with the seller, let's assume that they do sign a contract with you. Worst case scenario is 2, 3, 4, 5 months go by and the house doesn't sell. At that point, in a lot of cases, sellers are just taking their properties off the market. Oh, I'll list later. Or even worse than that, they take their property off the market and then they turn around and they go and they list with somebody else. Now, getting this guaranteed offer from us does not guarantee that you'll make money. It does not guarantee that they're going to sell to us. It does not mean that they're guaranteed to take a backup offer from us. Doesn't guarantee anything, but it gives you a higher probability of closing, right? Gives you a higher probability of getting that seller's property closed, of having them be happy, and you put money in your pocket, right? And one thing I can tell you that we do a really good job of, that we're always very conscious of when we do give an offer, is we ensure that the seller knows that the benefits of selling to us and the cost of it, meaning that our offer is likely going to be a little bit less than what they would get if a retail buyer bought their house, but this is the reason why. So we make sure that when we go into a property, when we make an offer, that we're not out there to just throw a number out into thin air without a conversation. And we don't want to insult your seller, right? That's not our objective. We're going to have the conversation with them. Hey, this offer is going to be a little bit lower. These are the benefits. You don't have to go with us. We're not even telling you that this is what your property's worth. But if you are ready to sell your property, you are ready to hit the easy button, this is what you can get. And happy to explain to them that, you have other options, right? You could wait, right? Or you could reduce the listing price of your property. There's a lot of other ways to get your property sold, but this is just one option. And I go back to, just the premise overall of being an agent investor. Being an agent investor is combining the tools of being an agent and an investor to help you as the professional make more money, to help serve your clients more, and to build wealth. Because how does this strategy tie into the overall plan, or what I call the agent investor model? Well, the agent investor model, step one, there's 3 steps of the agent investor model. Step one is to continue selling real estate and focus on sellers, right? So step number one, keep making money as a real estate professional. By using our offers, you're going to get more of your listings closed because of the reasons I've already mentioned. So ideally, if you use these tools, maybe you get a listing or 2 more closed in a year, right? I don't want to overstate the power of that, but maybe it helps you to get 1 more listing closed in a year, right? So that's step number 1. Keep selling real estate, focus on sellers. So that step number 2, which is a big part of what we just talked about, is that if you have a seller that is willing to take our offer, we put up all the money, we do all the construction, and then we split the profits 50-50. As of right now, our average fix and flip profit hovers around $80,000, which means that if you partner with us on one of these deals, you will earn $40,000 on average, right? Some deals are better, some deals are worse. The ranges are all over the map. But the objective is for step number 2 for you to do a couple of fix and flips in a year. Of course, you can do them on your own, but if you partner with us, we take all the risk, we take all the responsibility, we take all the time to do the renovation, and then we split it with you. So that step number 3, you can use those big chunks of income from flipping to invest in long-term passive assets. And I talk about this all the time. Real estate agents are on the real estate roller coaster. What does that mean? That means from month to month, from year to year, you're going to have fluctuations. It is not even mathematically possible for an agent to make around the same amount of money every single year. You're going to fluctuate. You could have a year where you're up 50%. You could have a year where you're down 50%. You are going to have income fluctuations in residential real estate sales, period. Of course, the goal is to always build, but some years are going to be tougher than others. There are things beyond your control. I don't care what real estate sales book you read. Market conditions, just happenstance, luck, chance. And that's why, for me, all real estate professionals should have sales income, flip income, and passive income. If you have all 3 of those, you're bulletproof. If you love real estate sales, or you just enjoy real estate sales and you want to be in it forever, or as long as you possibly can, you are diversifying your income. You are ensuring that you're going to stay in the business, right? So a traditional real estate agent, let's just say for the sake of round numbers, that a real estate agent makes $100,000 in their first year. Next year, right, they can make 60, they can make 120, they can make 70, right? So there's fluctuations. And from year to year, that can be a big deal. And again, I'm using this for round numbers, but if you need $100,000 to live and then you make 70, well, now you might have to go out and get a job. Now, everybody's income needs are different. Some people can survive on a lot less. Some people need a lot more. You get the point, though. But if you change that from fluctuating, 1 year you're 100, 1 year you're 60, 1 year you're 120 in sales, and then every year you add on a couple of fix and flips, you add on $80,000, you're at $80,000 plus your sales. And then if you take the money that you earn from the flips and then you invest it in passive assets, well, now within a few years, instead of starting at 0, you're starting at maybe $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 a month of guaranteed income. Whether you invest in syndications, whether you invest in rental properties, vacation properties, whether you even just invest like in the stock market, you can get passive income from a lot of different sources, but you need those big chunks of income. So with all that being said, if you want to learn more about partnering with us, about how all of this works, jump on my on-demand webinar at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Again, that's www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com.